As we wrap up our salute to Palm Springs favorite Ruta Lee, our conversation touches on some of the wonderful work Ruta does on behalf of our veterans and her life with the love of her life, Webb Lowe. This conversation took place prior to his death earlier this year. But first, we begin with a movie with the title of Doomsday that says it all. I want to read a quote. I think it's just kind of funny. It says, "It really could have been a sweet little picture, you know, but it was done on 29 cents. That was the early 70s when we all had huge hair. I mean, when I think of it, that movie now, and wondered, I could have floated off into space with that hairdo."
This was a movie that was originally called Doomsday, and it had a fabulous cast. It never got finished because the union wouldn't let us work unless the money came every day to pay us. And so we'd sit around in the so-called space module chairs, which were barbershop chairs that were made to tilt back a little further. And it never got finished, and then some Japanese outfit picked it up. And now there we are speaking Japanese. It's rather interesting. So it didn't even escape, never mind release.
You've given a lot of your time, I know, to causes for the veterans and to other organizations. What draws you to the veterans?
These lovely young people are willing to put their lives on the line for us every day, that we forget about veterans who are returning. And my cause has always been mental health. The Thalians, which Debbie Reynolds and I, headed up for 60 years, we've changed our focus to the mental health of returning veterans. And so we joined Operation Mend at UCLA, and Operation Mend heals the broken bodies, and we Thalians heal the broken mind and the broken spirit. And I'm very proud of the Thalians because it was started back in 1955. I wasn't in on the very beginning. Debbie did. But now I'm proudest most of us because we're dealing with the kids, like I say, who are willing to put their lives on the line.
And let's talk about your husband. I always say nobody goes unscathed. Nobody gets a free ride.
Yeah.
How has this been for you? How has it been for him?
Now that my husband is in dementia, interesting, isn't it, that I've spent my life worrying about mental health, and now I've got my beautiful, darling husband of 45 years who is in dementia. For him, I cannot begin to describe because I'm not in there. For me, it's been total torture because, as I mentioned, God gave me a lot of fabulous gifts. But the virtue of patience is not one of the things that He gave me. So I'm dealing with a man that used to be Executive VP of McDonald's, who headed up Bonanza Steakhouses, who really knew his stuff. Without a doubt, one of the loveliest human beings. Forgets where things are, and I'm angry all the time. And I'm sure I'm sharing this with a lot of viewers in your audience that are probably going through the same thing. And if you have any tips, call me, for God's sake. It is so difficult. So I'm constantly biting my tongue and praying morning, noon, and night to God to help me be a little more patient, just a little more patient. And I'm learning. I'm learning the hard way, but I'm learning.
But it is difficult for the caregiver.
Very. And it would be easier to probably place him in a very nice facility. There are beautiful ones, a lot of them right here in the desert that we're kind of looking at, etc., because the time will come.
But 45 years.
Yeah,
How
very
great.
good years.
Yeah.
Very blessed years.
How lucky you are.
Yeah, I'm lucky, but like you said, nobody gets out unscathed one way or another. So
You're writing a book? I don't know that we can tell the title.
Why not?
Oh, go ahead.
I mean, stop and think about it. Jesus rode into Jerusalem on his ass. Well, my title is Consider Your Ass Kissed. And I mean it in the most loving, generous way. There have been so many people who have done so much good for me in my life. And even if it's somebody who just sat and turned the set on because Ruta was going to be on, that was a blessing to me. And so I want anybody who ever crossed my life in any way that smiled at me, that took a smile from me and felt better, that watched me, that came to see me by buying a ticket or whatever it took, consider your darling ass kissed.
I think we need to leave it there. How great.
I'm so glad to visit with you, Joe. Thank you for sharing your wonderful audience with me.
I tell you, this has been such a pleasure. Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you.
And as I am wont to say, consider your ass kissed.
My thanks to Ruta for being so generous with her time. She is a true original.